So today we'll start off with quinolones. We completed cotrimoxazole in the last class. So quinolones and fluoroquinolones are similar in mechanism of action. Okay, fluoroquinolones are slightly better than quinolones. To put it in another way, quinolones include older drugs, whereas fluoroquinolones include the fluorinated forms of the same drug, but they are slightly better. They have wider spectrum. They have fewer side effects, things like that. They have better tissue penetration as well. Okay, and there is a lesser chance that fluoroquinolones will develop resistance. Quinolones can develop resistance pretty easily. So I'll list both of them now. We have quinolones. Okay, sometimes fluoroquinolones are also called quinolones. Okay, both of them refer to similar drugs because the mechanism of action inherently will be the same. Now, quinolones के अंदर the drugs that you have are nalidixic acid, dixic acid, siloxacin, and oxalinic acid. ठीक है, these three used to be used. Quinolones are not used as much. Newer agents in them is siloxacin and oxalinic acid, but nowadays fluoroquinolones are being used more often. Okay, they are much better alternatives even with the same mechanism of action. So fluoroquinolones में आता आपका levofloxacin, ciprofloxacin, gatifloxacin, pefloxacin, ofloxacin, ठीक है, and a few more. ठीक है, these are some of the commonly used ones. Now, the mechanism of action of either of these drugs, it will work in two ways. They are primarily bactericidal agents. They will kill the bacteria, and they do that by inhibiting protein synthesis. Okay, they will mess up with, how should I put it? They will mess up with DNA gyrase. Okay, so if we talk about mechanism of action of either of these drugs, MOA, it will work in two ways. Okay, so one way is it will inhibit DNA gyrase or it will decrease DNA gyrase. Let's go with inhibit. Inhibits DNA gyrase enzyme. Okay. DNA gyrase enzyme is something that is required during DNA replication, specifically during transcription. Okay, DNA gyrase is an enzyme that will help in introducing negative supercoils. I'm not sure whether you've been taught about what is positive supercoiling and negative supercoiling, but whenever replication occurs, DNA will undergo coiling. Okay, so positive supercoiling naturally बनता, उसको काउंटर करने के लिए नेगेटिव सुपरकॉइलिंग बनना पड़ता. Okay, so positive supercoiling is basically the DNA coiling around itself in right hand direction. To counter this, you need an enzyme which will introduce negative supercoils. Okay, so that you have something which is opposite to this. So if you look at it, it will look like this. Okay, the one that is twisting towards right will be because of positive supercoiling. You will need DNA gyrase, which is secreted by the cell, to introduce negative supercoils. Now, यहाँ पर the point is that what quinolones do is they will inhibit DNA gyrase, because of which these negative what you call supercoils are not introduced. Ultimately, the result will be that DNA gets damaged. Okay. So just remember that whenever DNA gyrase enzyme is inhibited by the drug, DNA damage occurs. DNA damage occurs. The result will be that the bacteria dies. Okay, hence you have the bactericidal effect. Okay, that is one way through which your fluoroquinolones and quinolones work. The other way is by decreasing or inhibiting topoisomerases. Okay, it will inhibit topoisomerases. Topoisomerases are an enzyme that are required during replication. Specifically, once daughter bacteria are formed, daughter cells are formed, they need to separate from each other. to separate from each other, they need this enzyme called topoisomerase. Now, if you are giving a quinolone or fluoroquinolone, those daughter cells will not be able to separate from each other, meaning replication will not be complete. Okay? Topoisomerase, I'll repeat again. Topoisomerase is an enzyme that, now let's suppose your original bacteria hai. This is undergoing fission and this is becoming something like this. Now at this point of time, you have topoisomerases that come into picture and they will let the bacteria split apart. Okay? For this you need topoisomerases. These drugs, fluoroquinolones and quinolones, will inhibit also topoisomerases. Okay? So this enzyme will not work properly, because of which bacteria will not be able to split. So there is no true replication as such. Okay, this will lead to, this will literally stop multiplication. So that is another effect of what do you call quinolones and fluoroquinolones. So separation of daughter cells is inhibited. Okay, whenever this separation is inhibited, replication stops or multiplication stops. Okay, so these are the two ways through which your fluoroquinolones and quinolones will work. One is by inhibiting DNA gyrase, where it is damaging the bacterial DNA, leading to bactericidal effect, killing of the bacteria. Second effect is that it will also inhibit topoisomerases, which are required for separation of daughter cells, daughter bacterial cells, which are specifically required for multiplication. Now, because topoisomerases are inhibited, there is no multiplication, right? Or multiplication stops. Now, coming to the first drug, nalidixic acid. I hope you understood that. If you have doubts, please let me know. You can put it in the chat as well if you want to. Now, nalidixic acid is a drug that is obviously bactericidal. It is very good against gram-negative bacteria, specifically E. coli, Shigella, Proteus, Klebsiella. So, spectrum is gram-negative bacteria. Okay. Now it is absorbed orally very well, and it will be excreted rapidly through urine. Okay. So generally it achieves very low concentration in plasma. As soon as it is coming into your body, nalidixic acid tends to get excreted very, very quickly. Because of that, what happens is its plasma concentration. Now normally a drug is supposed to be absorbed. Now I'm telling this drug is getting absorbed very well, and it orally. तो मैं ड्रग अगर ओरली दिया तो पहले अब्जॉर्प्शन होता, उसके बाद डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन होता, उसके बाद मेटाबॉलिज्म होता, उसके बाद एक्सक्रीशन होता, राइट? यहाँ पर द ड्रग इज रशिंग टुवर्ड्स एक्सक्रीशन. द पॉइंट इज दैट in all of these processes, the drug is staying in your blood for a long period of time, then going into your urinary tract. This nalidixic acid will rush towards a situation where it is getting accumulated, or it is going towards your excretory tract, or it is going towards your urinary tract. Because of that, it is very good in case of, it achieves a very high concentration in urine. So it is very good in things like diarrhea, or things like what do you call uncomplicated UTI. Uncomplicated UTI are urinary tract infections that do not involve kidney infections. Okay, UTI without pyelonephritis or any renal complications को uncomplicated UTI बोलते हैं. Okay, complicated UTI will be when pyelonephritis and renal complication is occurring, and any other systemic complication is occurring. Nalidixic acid is very good in case of uncomplicated UTI. Okay, I'm just writing it as UTI. All right. Now, adverse effect specific to nalidixic acid is that it can cause ADR, it can cause hemolytic anemia, it can cause allergies, specifically allergic reactions, rashes, what do you call pruritus or slight fever, things like that. Those are allergic reactions. It can also have some CNS effects like headache. Okay, it can cause myalgia, muscle pain, and it can lead to drowsiness. Okay, so that is about nalidixic acid. Now coming to fluoroquinolones. Rather than telling you about each and every drug in fluoroquinolones, I'll give you a general picture of what how fluoroquinolones are. Another thing about this thing, nalidixic acid. Nowadays, there are a lot of mutated bacteria present which are resistant to nalidixic acid. Okay, there is a lot of resistance available in the vertical available for nalidixic acid. That is also one of the reasons why nalidixic acid is not used as much. This specifically occurs because there is a mutation in the target enzyme. Okay, DNA gyrase, that enzyme itself is mutated, or it can be a mutation in the permeability of the organism. So see, if your drug has to work on one particular enzyme, it has to enter the cell. यहाँ पर problem क्या हो रहा है, या तो that enzyme is getting mutated where it is not letting, let's suppose this is the enzyme, ठीक है, there is a mutation in the enzyme in such a way that this nalidixic acid is not able to come and attach to this. That is one problem. Second problem is that now this enzyme is present inside the bacterial cell. Let's suppose your drug is not able to come inside the cell, there will be no effect. So either the permeability is changing or that enzyme is undergoing mutation. Either way, it will develop resistance, ठीक है, especially E. coli, Staphylococcus, Pseudomonas, Serratia, all of these have shown to develop resistance to nalidixic acid. That is where fluoroquinolones come in. Okay, they have a lower chance of developing resistance, and they have a wider spectrum as well. They will cover more number of bacteria with fewer side effects. They also have very good tissue penetration, okay, compared to nalidixic acid. Because nalidixic acid will rush towards excretory system, it will not stay in your blood for long enough to achieve good tissue penetration. Fluoroquinolones do, however, have good tissue penetration. Now, fluoroquinolones, the spectrum of fluoroquinolones will include gram-negative, gram-negative bacteria and gram-positive bacteria. Gram-positive bacteria. Okay. Specifically, see, some of the newer fluoroquinolones are also good against anaerobes. I'll tell you what gram positive and gram negative they work against. The gram negative will include bacteria like meningococci, gonococci, Haemophilus influenza, E. coli, Salmonella, Shigella, Enterobacteria, H. pylori, that causes PUD. Okay, against all of that, fluoroquinolones are very good. Gram positive will be Staphylococcus, Chlamydia, Mycoplasma, Mycobacterium. Against all of those, fluoroquinolones are good. Newer fluoroquinolones are good against some anaerobes, anaerobic vertical, and as well as Streptococcus pneumoniae. Okay. Initially, fluoroquinolones were not as effective against strep pneumonia. The newer ones are better, especially vertical pefloxacin and the newer variants, norfloxacin and all of those. Also have something called sparfloxacin, which is good. In any case, uh, the PK of these drugs, okay, we've already discussed mechanism of action. Mechanism of action will remain the same. Okay, it will inhibit DNA gyrase and topoisomerases, leading to inhibition of multiplication and inhibition of damaging DNA, leading to bactericidal effect. Now, PK of this drug, oral administration is causes very good, or orally administered and gets absorbed very well. One thing is that if you give this drug with food or antacids, it will interfere with the absorption of the drug. So do not give. I'm abbreviating it as FQs, okay? Fluoroquinolones with food or antacids. Okay? Generally give a gap of at least 2 hours before or after food. Okay? Antacids है तो before food had before giving the drug. Food generally, if give the drug after the patient has eaten the food. Take 2 hours or 3 hours after the patient has consumed the food. Make sure at least 2 hours of difference is there between their consumption of the drug and the food. Now, pefloxacin and ofloxacin specifically cross BBB, so they are very good in case of meningitis or what you call brain infections. Okay, so pefloxacin and ofloxacin cross BBB. Any drug that can cause cross BBB, obviously there will be a chance of CNS toxicity, but you can treat infections of your brain. Okay, with this, if you are able to monitor, those adverse effects should not be as drastic. Another thing is that it undergoes hepatic metabolism. Specifically, it is a microsomal enzyme inhibitor. It undergoes hepatic metabolism and is a microsomal enzyme inhibitor. What does that mean? If it is a microsomal enzyme inhibitor, we've studied that several drugs are microsomal enzyme inducers. Okay, इससे पहले we have come across several drugs, especially something like methylxanthines, anti-asthmatic drugs. Theophylline was one example. It depends on microsomal enzymes for its metabolism. If you give fluoroquinolone along with theophylline, theophylline will not work. Okay, and generally toxicity of theophylline will occur if you give both of them together. So you have to keep in mind any drug that is depending on microsomal enzymes to get metabolized. This fluoroquinolone, any fluoroquinolone is an inhibitor of that particular enzyme. Okay? Your liver is normally making this particular enzyme. Let's suppose this enzyme is E1. Okay? There's several enzymes. CYP enzymes भी बोलते हैं लोगों को, ठीक है? CYP3A4, 219, there are several ones. Anyway, these fluoroquinolones will inhibit this enzyme. Now let's suppose there is some other drug, X drug. You have given fluoroquinolone and this fluoroquinolone is inhibiting this drug. Whenever you give X drug that is depending on this microsomal enzyme to get metabolized, meaning you give X, it gets metabolized into X1, let's suppose. Okay? This metabolism will not happen. Okay? Let me round it off rather than. So this metabolism will not happen if fluoroquinolones are given with a drug which is depending on that microsomal enzyme, meaning X will start getting accumulated in your body and it can lead to toxicity. Be careful of that. Okay. Another thing is that because it gets excreted through kidneys, reduce its dose in case of renal failure, especially in older individuals or in case of drugs which have what you call nephrotoxicity as its adverse effect. Either avoid giving fluoroquinolones with that or decrease the dose of fluoroquinolones. Also, in any patient who is on dialysis or who has reduced renal failure, try to avoid the drug or decrease the dose significantly of fluoroquinolones. Okay, they can be nephrotoxic. Adverse effects, specific adverse effects will include nausea, vomiting, abdominal discomfort. Okay, in some patients, diarrhea is seen, diarrhea and rashes. Okay, some people have complained about tendon rupture and tendon pain. So tendonitis, inflammation of your tendon, and tendon rupture. This is actually something that you need to monitor for when you're giving a patient fluoroquinolones. Okay, this will come as a nursing implication as well because it causes gastric irritation and it causes tendon pain. Just be careful and tell the patient because sometimes patients will get very anxious if they are having pain out of nowhere. Okay, this will generally cause tendon pain and it might even lead to overall body pain. Okay, because the tendons are getting affected, especially your what do you call Achilles tendon, your joints, your ankle, elbow, and all of that, they'll start hurting. Okay, it can also, another very important adverse effect is that it damages growing cartilage. What does that mean? If it is damaging growing cartilage, it is contraindicated in less than 18-year-old children or 18-year-old individuals. Okay, because they are still in growing ages. Generally, I would say even 20, but 18 के नीचे definitely do not give any fluoroquinolone. Okay, nowadays it is very common that people just go up to a pharmacy and they will ask, भैया सर्दी के लिए or cough, cold, something, just give us a drug बोल के. Even with the age, the pharmacist might not know this. Okay, because you know how pharmacists can be in India. anyone who can work in a pharmacy will work in a pharmacy. So they might not really have a knowledge about drugs. As such, if they are giving fluoroquinolones in a kid, it can lead to permanent damage. Okay, cartilage damage can become permanent and it can lead to severe problems. This drug, fluoroquinolones, can also cause headache and dizziness. There are some CNS effects. So headache and dizziness. Though it is not as much as something like diazepam, it is there. Now, if patients who are on uh, epileptogenic drugs, epileptogenic drugs are those drugs that can induce seizures in certain conditions. Okay, one example will be theophylline, or if the patient is on NSAIDs, do not give fluoroquinolones. Is that if a patient is already on NSAIDs, non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs, and if you give fluoroquinolones, there is a chance that the patient might have seizures or they might have prolonged QTC. Fluoroquinolones have one other very important side effect. Fluoroquinolones prolong QTC, QT interval. ठीक है, इट कैन लीड टू अरिथमियास. आप लोगों को ECG का भी पढ़ाए थे, कैसा रीड करना, कैसा इंटरप्रेट करना, या एटलीस्ट हैव यू लर्न फ्रॉम आउटसाइड? So basics, not, I'm not telling like proper in detail, but at least something. What is P wave? What is PQRS T wave? No? Okay. Well, take it. Anyway, fluoroquinolones is something that will prolong QT interval, which can lead to arrhythmias. Okay, that is one important side effects of fluoroquinolones. Specifically, avoid it. So I'll just write the contraindications. It will be easier. Contraindications: less than 18-year-old, pregnancy, completely contraindicated in pregnancy. Do not give this. Patients on mefloquine, patients on erythromycin. Erythromycin is a macrolide. It's also an antibiotic. Patients on theophylline or patients on antiarrhythmics. If you remember when we discussed about antiarrhythmics, I told you antiarrhythmics themselves can precipitate arrhythmia sometimes. Okay, especially beta blockers and things like that, they can themselves start a arrhythmia. If you give another drug which is altering QTC, that can trigger arrhythmia in case of what you call, if you are giving them along with antiarrhythmic drugs. Okay, you can use this in case of UTI, uses of fluoroquinolones. You can use them in case of UTI, especially MDR UTI, multi-drug resistance. The best drug for that is norfloxacin. If you have MDR UTI, MDR organism causing UTI, in that case norfloxacin is very good. You can give it in case of respiratory tract infections, diarrhea, TB. So TB, diarrhea. You can give it in case of typhoid. Especially ciprofloxacin is good in case of typhoid. You can give it in bone and joint infections because it achieves good tissue penetrability. You can give it in bone and joint infections. You can also give it in soft tissue infections, intra-abdominal infections, or bacterial prostatitis, things like that. Okay, the most important nursing implications that you need to remember is that avoid giving it with any metals like calcium or iron and things like that, and avoid giving it with food or antacids, and monitor the patient for vertical, especially if it is a patient who has cardiac problems, monitor them for arrhythmias, signs of arrhythmias. Okay? Also nephrotoxicity, monitor that. It can cause nephrotoxicity, especially if it is being given in a patient who has renal failure. Now, if you don't have any doubts, do you have any doubts in this thing, quinolones and fluoroquinolones? If you do, please let me know. Try to clear that doubt. Okay, you can put in the chat as well. That is fine. Now, coming to the next drug class, aminoglycosides. Okay. Now aminoglycosides, the names might be a little confusing. Just be careful with the names. Okay. Macrolides and aminoglycosides, they will have similar names, but they are two different types of drugs. Now there are some aminoglycosides that are derived from streptomyces. That is why their name will have mycin, but it will be spelled MYCIN. So you have streptomycin, you have kanamycin, tobramycin. Okay. Sometimes neomycin as well. Then these are derived from streptomyces. Okay. Then you have aminoglycosides that are derived from a different genus of bacteria. Okay. They're derived from bacteria itself. That is why they are named like this. There is another genus of bacteria called Micromonospora. ठीक है, उससे जो derive करते हैं उन लोगों की names will be gentamicin. See MICIN in this. Be careful with the spellings. Netlimycin and amikacin. Okay. So these are the drugs that are included under aminoglycosides, commonly used aminoglycosides. Now there are a few points about aminoglycosides that you need to remember. These are not absorbed orally. They will get ionized. Okay. Not absorbed orally due to ionization. Okay, they'll form ion. If you remember, any drug, if it wants to get absorbed properly, general pharmacology में अपन पढ़े थे कि it should be in a non-polar, non-ionized form. It should not be having any positive or negative charge. That is when it will be able to cross your membranes and it will be able to get absorbed. If the drug is ionized, it will not be absorbed properly. Okay, it will get dissolved in water and it will get solubilized in water and it will not be absorbed. So aminoglycosides are completely avoided orally. They are only given IM or IV. You can also give them topically sometimes. Now they are vertical. They remain extracellular and CSF penetration is very poor. Remain and CSF penetration is poor. Okay. Very poor. There is no penetration into the brain, so useless against brain infections. Also, they get removed from your kidneys unexchanged, meaning metabolism does not occur. As you are the same way you give drug, the same way that drug will come out. It will not change its form. These are bactericidal agents because they inhibit bacterial protein synthesis. You'll understand that a little bit more when we discuss about the mechanism of action. They are mainly effective against gram-negative aerobes. They are completely useless in case of anaerobes. Okay, you cannot give them in case of actinomyces, pervotella, clostridium, yeah, bacteroid fragilis. All of these infections are anaerobic bacteria, useless. Okay, so effective against gram-negative aerobes only. Okay, so E. coli and all will come in this gram-negative aerobes पहले तो, and it causes ototoxicity and nephrotoxicity. Very potent ototoxic and nephrotoxic drugs. Ototoxic का मतलब it will cause toxicity in your ears. Nephrotoxicity you already know. Ototoxicity इसकी इतनी profound रहती कि in some patients there will be permanent deafness. ठीक है, if you are not careful about the dose and if you are not careful with the drug, in especially in elderly patients, it can lead to permanent deafness. Okay, because the nerve cells, cochlear cells that are present inside your ear, if they get damaged, they get damaged because of this. If they get damaged, they cannot regenerate back, leading to permanent damage, permanent deafness. Okay, auditory nerve will also get affected because of these drugs. Now, as they are only affecting gram-negative aerobes, specifically E. coli, Proteus, Pseudomonas, इसमें पूरे वो आते. You have E. coli, Proteus, Proteus mirabilis, then Pseudomonas. It will work against Brucella, Shigella, Salmonella, and Klebsiella. बस इतने ही. ठीक है, ग्राम नेगेटिव एरोब्स. That is why it is narrow spectrum, this thing. But one advantage of this is that if you give it once, even if the plasma level of aminoglycoside decreases, the effect of that antibacterial will remain. Meaning, for example, the main mechanism of action through which it works is it will inhibit protein synthesis. It is a bactericidal agent, wherein what it will do is, let's suppose this is the bacterial cell, and you know, bacterial cell has any prokaryote cell has 70s type of ribosomes, right? Humans have 80s, these will have 70s. 70s ka breakdown will be 50s and 30s. Okay? 80s ka breakdown will be 60 and 40, which is present in eukaryotes. Now, ye prokaryote like bacteria will have one unit which is 50s and the other unit which is 30s. Okay, let's suppose this is 30s and this is 50s. Now यहाँ पर आपका drug aminoglycoside, let's suppose I'm giving amic acid, okay, any aminoglycoside, this fellow will get absorbed inside the bacterial cell and it will bind with this 30s type of ribosome, and it will irreversibly bind with this, making sure that, so imagine the drug is something like this, okay, let's suppose this is 30s, this is 50s, and the drug is something like this, okay, or I'll use a different color. Let's suppose this is amikacin. Okay? This fellow, amikacin or any aminoglycoside, goes and attaches to this 30s ribosome of the bacteria, because of which this 30s and this 50s cannot attach together. If there is no attachment between 50s and 30s ribosomes, it cannot translate mRNA. That is the basic function of what you call translation and transcription and translation, to make proteins. Okay? ट्रांसक्रिप्शन में आप कन्वर्ट कर रहे हैं डीएनए इनटू एमआरएनए, ट्रांसलेशन में यू आर ट्रांसलेटिंग एमआरएनए. यहाँ पर to translate you need both 50s and 30s. What is happening here is these aminoglycosides will irreversibly attach to 30s ribosome of the bacteria, leading to what you call irreversibly it will attach, leading to inhibition of protein synthesis. Proteins cannot be formed if one end of the ribosome is not working properly. Okay? Because of which bacteria will die. That is the main mechanism of action. That's it. Okay. I hope you understood the mechanism of action. It is very simple. Drug is going inside the cell of the bacteria. It is irreversibly binding to 30s ribosome of the bacteria, one component of the bacterial ribosome, and it is stopping protein synthesis. If protein synthesis does not occur, the bacteria will eventually die. Okay. That is the mechanism of action. Now, यहाँ पर the important thing is that this bactericidal effect, okay, the killing effect of aminoglycosides, killing of bacteria, that effect remains in the blood for a long period of time. Okay, plasma levels of aminoglycoside, even after they decrease, the effect that they caused will stay for a long period of time. Think of it this way. Let's suppose one particular bacteria requires or needs to make 10,000 copies of itself, meaning it needs to multiply several times to make 10,000 daughter cells in order to cause an infection. Okay, and to maintain that infection. अब आप aminoglycoside जब दिए, let's suppose this number is decreasing down to 10,000 minimum is required to cause a infection, and whenever you are giving the antibiotic, the number of bacteria that is present in your blood, let's suppose that is 50,000. Okay, significantly higher than minimum number. Now whenever you give aminoglycoside, let's suppose this number is decreasing. Okay, decreasing to 5,000. Now the effect of the aminoglycoside or the antibiotic will stay for a long period of time, because until and unless this 5k becomes 10k again, you will not have infection. समझ में आ रहा? You need minimum 10,000. I'm giving an example. Okay, you need minimum 10,000 to cause infection. When you give aminoglycoside, it is significantly decreasing, or it is significantly killing the number of bacteria present in your body, much lower than the minimum threshold that is required to cause infection. Okay, or to even maintain infection. यहाँ पर if you give aminoglycoside, for example, 10,000 is the minimum number required by that particular bacteria. Let's suppose E. coli requires 10,000 bacteria, 10,000 copies of itself to maintain infection, to cause it and maintain it. Right now, when you give the drug, the patient has 50,000 bacteria in their blood. Example. When you give aminoglycoside, this number is going down to 5k. 5,000. So until and unless that 5,000 becomes 10,000 again, that bacteria will not be able to mount a infection, or it will not be able to maintain or cause an infection. ठीक है? At this point of time what will happen is you give one dose के बाद फिर से एक और dose देते ना, so ultimately the number of bacteria that are present in your blood will diminish. Before it can reach 10,000 you are giving another dose, right? Even if the dose of what you call plasma concentration of aminoglycoside is waning off, after some time you will give another dose. Even if you give OD of aminoglycoside, it is fine because of this reason. ठीक है? It will take some time for the bacteria to redivide. That is why even if you give aminoglycosides OD, it is fine once a day, even if they have shorter T halves. Okay, most of aminoglycosides will have a very short T half life. Okay, we'll talk a little bit more about